All right, let's start out today with some blue and white. There it is right there. Now I've already put some clear gel and white just on the top half of the canvas, right where I think the sky is going to be. That just helps me to blend my colors. I think it's really a very necessary step. It does make blending a lot easier. Now I'm going to be doing today something a little different. I'm going to take a very old painting, and I'm sure you've already seen footage of that painting, or it's on the screen right now. And I'm going to repaint that using the same subject. I'm trying to make it look like the same painting, but with updated techniques and with updated lighting and color. So we'll see how it goes. It'll be fun. All right, there we go. I think that sky is far enough down. Now let me take a shop towel, and I'm going to remove some paint. If you look at the original, I've got some clouds on this side. I may bring them over. Yeah, they're a little bit further. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to match that painting exactly. I'm just using it as a reference. Basically, that's my reference photo. And I'll make changes, where I need to make them. And this is going to be one place where I need to make them. I'm going to change the layout of the cloud. Instead of it just going across the sky in a flat area, I'm going to bring it in more like a pillowy shape. And not too much in the dead center, but it kind of starts maybe a little bit more, off like that. Oh, that's going to be, I think, pretty nice. Boom. Hey, right now would be a great time to thank my Patreons. So if you're a member on Patreon, I just want to give you a special thanks and a little shout out because I really do appreciate you. And if you are not a Patreon, you're missing out on some pretty fun stuff. And so definitely check out the link in the description for more information. So now we're going to depart a little bit from the original by taking some white and red. Could you do yellow? Yeah. You totally could, especially with wiping off the canvas. And I may add a little, but it's not going to be right now. There you go, right here. This is very dry, almost totally virtually dry. So what I can do is I can come up here and then shape a cloud. And see, I can really go wherever I feel like going on this particular one because of taking the extra time to do what we did by removing that paint. Oh, it just, to me, makes such a big difference. I'm just outlining the clouds. I like to do that. You don't have to, but I enjoy this method of painting clouds, and I would certainly call this more of an updated technique, so I think it's appropriate here in this video. You see right there? Yeah, that'll work. So I'm just going to come along through here. Again, this is very dry, very dry. By dry, I don't mean it's physically dried. You know that. I mean but all the paint's been removed, and what's left there is just a stain, and honestly it feels just like it was dry because there's almost nothing on there. And oh, that makes it easy. Now I'm going to mix together some black and some of our sky color, a little more red in it, because if you do black and blue together, you do get green. So having blue, red, and black together will be fine, even if it is kind of more on the blue side, it'll be okay. Let's try it. On the original, I didn't have any shadow whatsoever, and I almost don't need shadow, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to put in a little shadow. Oh, that's pretty. Not too much. I think maybe that's still a little dark. Let's adjust that slightly with some more blue and white. Okay. There you go. And I'm just going to paint in some shadows. I've decided to come in with a little darker color on a filbert brush. The other one was taking too long. And I'm just brushing in here some darker shadowy clouds here on the left. The idea being that, we got a little lighter sky on the right, a little darker sky on the left, and our highlight on the mountain is going to be on the right. That just helps. The lighting obviously is coming through like this. And it just sort of helps to begin to create a little lighting in the painting, because that is something that I wanted to really improve on and build on from the last original version of this painting, which is, putting some actual light in. Putting some real light, not just flash photography. You've heard me maybe talk about that before. Working here with the same colors, I'm going to work in the mountain, this background mountain. Now, obviously, we've got quite a different sort of contrast ratios, I guess. I really don't know what word I was wanting to find, but anyways, I found that one. Contrast ratios. And it is a little different than the original. You can see that. I'm sure it's on the screen. It will be now. There you go. And I'm using, again, those same three colors plus white. And the shape, I really could care less. I'm just going to do a quick mountain shape. That's not, the original wasn't all that great. There you go. Mountain. Boom. Okay. Now, one thing that would be nice to do. I'm just going to fill this mountain in. Okay, and we know we've got this other mountain coming up like that. And this mountain's not that big. It does have some detail on it, but not that much. Now, I'm gonna work around with some more clouds. So check this out, cloud color. And I like that little spot there. It's like the only part of contrast, but I'm gonna float this like right there. Boom, check this out. And these are things I may need to repeat once I'm all done with the mountain. Take some light, and I can, boom, float that over. And it doesn't need to be super crazy detailed, and I'm probably not going to go as detailed as the original. I think it's too much given the distance that that's supposed to have. Now I've got a basic sketch here of the mountain. That way I get it kind of the way I want it. It's pretty similar to the original. I didn't make too many changes. The biggest change that I made, I think it'll be helpful kind of to tell you why I'm doing what I'm doing as I go. But the biggest changes that I made was pulling the mountain up on the sides, because my rule that I do, for myself, you guys don't have to follow it, but I tend to follow it, which is always keeping the mountains or whatever sloping into the painting and never sloping out of the painting. I think it makes for a better composition, in my opinion, personally. There you go, in my opinion. I'm just gonna paint this in. You use whatever brush you want. It doesn't really matter. There's not a lot of paint down here. Now I'll take a 1/4 inch flat brush, and I've got just a little bit of warm white, a little mud in there. It's fine, just some of that mountain color. Now, right up in here. How much highlight do we want on this thing? Well, I know I don't want as much as the original. At least not as much texture. I want this to be further away. Well, let's see. This is just all on the fly, My light's coming through like so. It's gonna hit right here first. Boom, right there. It sure did now. It sure did. And that brush accidentally touched down, so there's my second peak right there. I'll do another one right there. But you see how you can use little slashes of this color. I don't want too much here, because, oh, that's a pretty one. It's too far away. Okay, let's really be careful here. I think this could get overdone in an instant. Let me get a more of a blue-gray color here. And with that more of a blue-gray color, I'm gonna hit the top of that mountain, boom, like that. Yeah, what that does is it just develops, see, how much more normal would it be to like, oh, I'm just gonna highlight the whole mountain. But see, I left the peak darker. The peak is darker than the little bits there. And hopefully I can really get this mountain squared away in literally like a couple minutes here. That is the hope. Like, I just don't think I need that much on this mountain today. I'm gonna take some white, quite a bit of white. I've got my 1/4 inch flat. You could use your 3/4 flat, doesn't really matter. I'm gonna take some red and white just to warm it up slightly. I don't really want, that's too pink. Okay, there we go. I'm trying to make just a nice warm white. Still looks white. And what we're gonna do here is highlight. We're gonna highlight our mountain. I've got a little bit more shadow. I just took the filbert brush, and this is just a little darker version of that mountain color, and painted a few shadows in. More to sketch out the mountain than anything else, really. It was more about a sketch than it was creating shadow. But the shadow's nice to have. We'll probably do more of that. All right, the light's coming through, and it's gonna strike right here. Boom. Always go on the outside edge of your mountain. Don't leave that line of dark on the outside. Come outside your object with the highlight. Does that make sense? Because otherwise, it's hard to say. One day I'll maybe just get like a really good close-up and show you the way to do it, then the way not to do it. It'll just take 2 seconds to show you. But it's a little hard to say it with words, but you know what I mean? Don't leave that little ridge of dark on the outside. So there we go. I'm just gonna paint in what feels like really an interesting mountain. I mean, this is a real wild looking mountain, tall and very jagged and pointy. It was in the original. I'm gonna keep it that way. But in the original, of course, I used a palette knife, and I'm sure it took me all of 3 minutes. It's gonna take me longer than 3 minutes today, but that's all right. Now I'm gonna place in some shadow, snow, just like that, very simple bluish kind of shadow color there, a little red in it, a little purpley feeling, because there is quite a bit of purple in this, although it doesn't scream purple. There is some purple. And there certainly was in the original, and I like the feeling of it, I'm gonna change it around a little, but I kind of want to keep it similar. So there you go. All right, now, how easy would it be to just go boom, boom, make a whole bunch of triangles? Let's do something else. Boom, there, bet you weren't expecting that. Got to do something different. Keep it from getting symmetrical, okay? Nice, that'll work. Of course, we still have to put in the rocky part. I do want some of those rocky areas, like highlights and shadows, as well as the snowy bits. So that's what we're gonna do. And I'm clearly not done with the mountain, but I just thought it might be interesting. I'm gonna take the little blender brush right through some color. Just some of the same old, you see, we're just using the same color over and over again. Not a lot of variety yet. We will have more variety later. I just want somewhere right up in here. Yeah, that matches pretty good. And I want to float, yes, just float a little cloud action right over that mountain like that. Good. I just wanted to integrate it a little bit more into the pit. Well, that's pretty, isn't it? I like that. Could we do some of that over here? Probably. We can do it. Is it going to look any good? We're about to find out. There we go. Just soft, soft, soft. Try not to destroy everything, because you could easily mess this up by putting too much of this cloud cover in. But it doesn't hurt to have some. I think that's pretty right there. I'm going to continue painting some of our mountain areas, but this time with rocky color. Let me see my kind of a rocky gray, muddy color mixed up there. I think that'll work. And let's just get in a little bit of this, just to indicate, hey, there are some rocks, and those rocks are showing some of the colors. And it's not totally just, not just totally snow-capped, although you could certainly do that, couldn't you? It would look pretty good. But, for me today, I want some rocky color. I think that's kind of pretty. See, by adding these colors, you're just doing more and more to make your painting interesting. I'm a big fan of that. So there you go. And then perhaps even the shapes, and it's fairly dark. It is fairly dark. But perhaps the shapes, they just get a little bit more, I don't know, a little more rocky in texture, a little less rough mountain. I don't know. I don't even know if it makes sense, but as it transitions from like the steep mountaintop toward the bottom of the mountain, I'm gonna roll a little mist along the bottom. I just thought it'd be kind of nice to change the structure just a little. Now, I've got the fan brush and some random, just kind of colors, just a little bit of everything. Some green, because we're gonna start finally working forward to the foreground area. All right, something like that'll be fine. A little red in that green to kind of calm it down. I don't really know. And I just know it needs to, you know what? We need a little mist. We need just a little mist. Maybe won't use the blend. Let me use this brush. It's still dirty from the sky. I'm going to just float some of that mist right in through here. Just so that, hey, at least we've got some, Soften a little bit. I don't want it too misty because we've got trees. And these trees are not, unlike the original, is where I'm going to make a change. They are not going to be strictly in the foreground. In fact, I think my foreground's going to change a little. How do I want to change that foreground? I don't want as much water. I want there to be a little less water. I want this to be nothing more than a little tiniest little mountain stream kind of starting right about there. But that's, for later. For now, using the fan brush and just crunching, I'm just laying paint down. I'm not actually painting trees yet. I don't really want to paint them with the fan brush too much. A little bit is okay just to get them moving. But they'll look kind of silly if you do them all with a fan brush, in my opinion. You can kind of get away with pulling up just a little bit, but you're better off with the detail brush, painstakingly putting them in one by one. I'm going to quickly, before I go too far on this, I know I'm darting around and not finishing one area, but I'm going to quickly get a little bit of a river going on here, a very small creek. And I'm actually going to make it a little smaller than the original. So I've got more room for land and less room for water. That's the way I want to do it today. And there you go. Yeah, that'll work. So I'm just underpainting that real quick. And the other thing I would probably need to get done is go ahead and just grabbing a big brush and at least begin to underpaint here some of my land there, some of my land here. And then of course, as I work back, I'm going to lighten my color because I don't ever want to paint the underpainting in just flat, you know, one color. But I want to have multiple colors in there. Now I really like what this has done. It went from a blank canvas, we can't hardly see what's going on, to really setting that mountain now, you know, in its context with the rest of the painting. I think that works out pretty well. Now, I've got the shop towel, and everybody's thinking I'm going to wipe this off. Well, I will, but not this minute. I'm going to wipe the trees off. Back up now to the trees. Because, see, I wasn't totally certain how bright I need to go. And I'm going to, now that I kind of know, I'm going to, just in select areas, mostly where I think that the light is going to strike, I'm going to remove the paint. Just get it off there. Let it be just a stain on the canvas. See, it's still there, but it's just a stain on the canvas, okay? There you go. Well, check this out. I was just getting ready to paint some trees down here, testing out some colors. And I thought, you know what? That mountain needs to be a little lighter at the top. You see, I kind of want to make this more of a two-tiered mountain where maybe that part of the mountain's a little further away and maybe that part's a little closer. I don't know. But you see, I'm just taking some light color in there, a lighter, kind of a purpley gray. And I'm just going to lighten the majority of my darker areas and smooth out this. And what that does is it raises the elevation of the mountain, pushes it back a little, is what that's doing. So it makes it look like it's taller and further away, even though you're not changing the size of it in any way, shape, or form, right? Now I'm gonna block in a few trees here because these trees, well, they're really not that much bigger than these, but maybe, you know, I'm gonna make them a little larger. They just need to be. They just need to be. Yeah. There we go. So I'm just gonna block them in quickly with the filbert brush, putting in a lot of paint, and I'll probably blot them, even if it's just a little bit. That way I can remove just enough paint to be able to highlight, but I don't need to make anything too crazy or nothing like that. There we go. I'm just gonna brush in what's gonna be a few rocks, just some black and brown. Just getting the rocks in. You know what? It's just not a big deal. Rocks are pretty straightforward. And these rocks in particular, they kind of go throughout the entire shoreline. I'm not sure I would necessarily highlight too much of an individual area, kind of make them more, I don't know, like little stones all kind of together. I wouldn't try to make too many individuals, might get kind of busy. Now I'm gonna just blot these trees before I get, there we go, before I get too far. I just placed in a couple of big trees, just like the small trees. Just plunk them in, you know, as fast as you can with a filbert brush, because it doesn't really matter. Because here's where you make it all work. And blot the trees. Now, you can lay a shop towel up there and then just let it sit and then peel it off. And I may do that, but for starters, I've got quite a lot of paint on here. I'm gonna remove quite a bit of it here with the shop towel just by blotting it like this. Now I've got these little pieces of shop towel. I just sort of rip them to size and throw them up here. I'm just pulling the last few of them off. I actually put quite a few up here, and see all that paint that has been absorbed. And this is all, see, all up in through here and over here as well. Looks, I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but now it looks not shiny, it looks flat. That's what I mean, not shiny. Flat could mean this way, or it could just mean reflective. It looks non-reflective. There you go. Because a lot of that oil has been removed, leaving just the pigment. We're gonna highlight. So I'm going to try to just catch a little light here on the right-hand side of the tree. I'm looking at the original. Looks like I've highlighted the left and right side of the tree. That was nice. Let's just do the right-hand side today. I'm going to fairly quickly here just bring in a little extra detail using this detail round brush. And that way, well, you know, kind of make the trees look a little better than they otherwise would. I'm introducing another color, which is good. And all of this is possible because we got the slippery wet paint off of there. It makes a big difference. I mean, you know, I say it every single time I pick up a paintbrush, but it is important. It's important to note, so there you go, in case there's anybody new here. There, let's bring in some more. I'm just tiny little dabbles and dots to create these little limbs. Make sure you account for the limbs that are facing you. You know, ones that are protruding straight forward, those will be catching light. didn't always know to do those, but now I try to remember to put those in. Now I'm going to tap on some grassy areas just with the fan brush. This is easy, super easy, because not only does the underpainting already really look finished, but there's not much paint to mud mix with, so this is very straightforward. Just tap on. In fact, I'm going to have to add more shadow. I'm not going to be able to get the contrast that I do. Maybe back there it's okay, but I'm going to have to somewhere. I'm going to have to add more shadow. It's just not going to be enough. Let's see, right there. Boom. Anyway, we'll just paint in a little grass. I maybe won't do that yet because I'm going to have some taller grass, but I've got to do reflections first. So maybe be responsible and do that in order. There you go. Now I'm going to put on some highlight to this rock area. You know, picking out a few of these rocks with the detail, not necessarily all of them, and certainly not all perfectly done, but just here and there, a smattering of these rocks. I don't have, I've not really wiped this area off. It's fairly thick, as you can see, but that's okay. I'm okay with my rocks get a little muddy. I don't need them like crazy detailed or bright today. It's just not, they're not necessarily the total feature here. They're just sort of there. Having said that, if you need to wipe your rocks off, then by all means do that, but there you go. I'll just warm that color up. There we go. Just grabbing, I don't know, whatever. Just trying to add color. See, it's got a lot of variety in it. You can put greens and reds and whatnot. They don't have to be gray or brown. You have all kinds of color in your rocks. And I think you'll have a better result when you do that. At least I do. Now this is going to be the most important part of the painting, I think, in my opinion, is to get these blues in. Here's my messy palette today. Here's my blue color. And this whole background, beautifully blue color. The whole foreground doesn't have much blue at all. This is where we tie it together. So I'm going to place in blue shadows. I would typically always do this anyways. I might go a little further than normal to really tie it together, but I think it's just so pretty. I like this. I like the water kind of being that steely gray, and it kind of matches some of the steely gray up in here. It's just, it works, but I need to drag this blue in. I might go even just a little bit more intense. Yeah, there we go. And begin to shape a lot of the shadow sides of these rocks with this bluer. I think I'm going to go just a little darker. Just a little darker. Okay? Cool. Now, in keeping with the theme of the light coming through the middle of the painting there, let me just get a little grass. This is the standard kind of starting at the top and flicking downward. See what that does? It gives you a really nice open texture on the top. Very natural and yet uneven, you know. I like that. If it was done with a different, like a rake brush or something like that, it would be very even. But by just using the top of the fan brush, to me, it's one of the best. That was probably the best grass technique for any kind of larger grass is to do this, any kind of foreground grass. Now it looks like I'm going up and down, but I'm not. I'm just going down. See that? Well, that about wraps up this slightly different painting. It was a bit of a challenge and I enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out our website, DVDs, and brush line, as well as our Patreon channel. Thanks for watching. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe if you're not already, and click the like button. That helps me out a lot. Stick around, watch a couple more videos, and stay inspired.